Rich, Whelan referred to Zane as White Lightning. Do you know who gave him that nickname? Were you part of that?
No, I don't think so. But he can run now. He can run. So, they have good chemistry out there, him and Zane, and certainly him and Bo, and it paid dividends, obviously, in the game.
Does what he did on Sunday kind of embody what he brings to your units?
Yeah, Zane, obviously the biggest thing to look at is when we lost him at the end of last year. What happened, we gave up a couple plays. He was in a vital spot for us playing inside a personal protector, and then he moved outside playing the flyer position for us. So having him back, he's kind of a leader by example, whether it's in practice or in the meeting room. He meets at multiple. He meets with the personal protectors on Tuesday. He meets with the flyers throughout the week. And so he's a vital part of what we're trying to do here, what we're trying to build here, and he's a good player. He gets free and he makes tackles, and a lot of respect to him because he gets doubled a bunch on the kickoff team.
Zane obviously made a play, and you got a fortunate bounce there as well. How much does the punt on that muff come into the equation? How much is that, or what Daniel did, a factor?
Well, Daniel's difficult to catch at times, and that happened to be a fringe red zone punt, and he has some, we've talked about it here, all the different type of punts that these guys do, and he hit a little bit of a fat ball, and it was just, once it bounces around on the ground, we've been on the other side of that where you got to peter and get away from the ball, and that guy was trying to block to keep Zane from making a play for not to go in the end zone, and it ended up hitting off his face mask, and then after that it's a free ball.
Do you feel like Brandon's now kind of in the groove and over anything that he was doing?
I'd like to hope so. I think that's what it showed on Sunday, right? I think the biggest place to look at is the timing of what he was doing was good, but then his kickoffs. His kickoffs were really, location-wise, were really good. I think there's really one of those two touchbacks we'd like to have back, but his location and the kicks were really well.
Can these punters, can they put side spin on those punts on purpose and get them to bounce sideways? Is that something?
Well, I think Daniel always complains his doesn't go sideways all the time, and but yeah, we call them flops. They put the point down, or fat balls. They turn it completely fat, and they try to hit it either going that way, or they try to hit the inside of it going that way. So, and there are guys in the top in the league in red zone punts, and he had two of them against us. I thought Rome made two great decisions on those, not to field them. And then he put two inside the 10 against us, but he's been doing a great job as well. But yeah, these guys, they can do all kinds of things with the ball.
Rich, I know it's one play at a time with you guys and everything can change, but you get Brandon cooking again, Daniel's great, you get the turnover. Like, do you feel like as just a unit, you kind of built some momentum off of that? That was a really good day that you can build on?
I'd like to think so. We talked about it earlier in the year. We've gone through some changes. We lost Nick for a little bit, and when in McDuffie in this particular game, he played every snap of defense, so we took him off 3 phases, and so again, it's ever changing for us, right, week in and week out. But you'd like to think everywhere on your team that as the season's going on, you're starting to create some chemistry with the guys that are playing, and you'd like to think you're going to keep improving. We still think we have a lot of football left ahead of us. I've said it before, in special teams, you look at the end of it and you think you have a hell of a day, and there's always one play that just you walk out of there and go, I can't believe that happened. And I think we have to look at when you win a game, you have to be more critical on the things you kind of got away with, so you don't let the win mask your problems. And I think that's kind of what we concentrated on a bunch this short week that we've had.
So what did you get away with on Sunday?
That's just kind of what you see on film that I'd rather not. The people who are getting ready to play, they know.
I didn't know if it was something game plan related, sorry.
Well, it's something that you can't see that it's very clear to us. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Yeah, what's that saying? All glory is fleeting, right? So it's the world I like to live in.
What makes Mosby effective on that kickoff coverage team?
Well, he's athletic, he's big, he can run, can make you miss, he can run through you, and when he does it right, he's hard to block. So there's another guy that we didn't have early in the year playing, and now that he's been active and been put up, he's been playing 5 phases for us. He's been playing on field goal rush as well, and so again, I think he's getting ready to play some of his best ball as we get going here through the later part of the season.
Sorry.
No worries.
With Mosby, is that something that came natural to him, or did you see that kind of come on as far as his ability and kind of the ways you guys can use him?
Well, I think he's been here a while, and last year I thought he played every snap and played all year and played well, but I think where he's making strides is his space play. I thought he made a heck of a tackle in space against a really good returner on the first punt, I think, that Daniel hit over in the left corner, and I just think, it's time on task, right? I think the more time you have on certain tasks that you're doing in the kicking game, hopefully the better you can become. If not, that shows up as well too, because there's so much space in between you and the other player that if you're not very good at it, that can show up. So, but he's hopefully he's on the come still.
With Detroit, what makes Raymond so good? Is it just his speed?
Well, I think he's got great speed. He's an aggressive player. He wants to do it. He wants to get the ball in his hand. So he's been a little bit of an issue. He's had a big 65-yard touchdown this year, and once he sees a clearing, he hits it pretty fast. He doesn't really hesitate. So, he makes good decisions back there as well. So, we've been playing against him, and this is, I think, my 18th game against Dave Phipp as a special teams coordinator going against each other. He was in Philly the whole time I was in Dallas, and now he's been here the whole time I've been here. And so it's a lot of games going against one guy. We have a lot of tape against each other, and so we kind of know what each other do. Coming up with something new is kind of hard.
You mentioned about it, Raymond hitting it up hard. There was one punt that Romeo had, and he ended up taking it outside. Is there reason to just take it up the short side and hope you get 7 or 8?
Yeah, I think Rome, he went left on that second one, which got us to the 40. He had a good return. I think he would have liked to have gone straight ahead on that, and he's got a chance to see it on tape now, and we'll see what the decision is this week. But those guys get back there, and you got to, it's a little bit different sitting in the stands or watching it on tape. And but I think he'd like to have it back. You have to ask him, but I think he would have liked to have gone north and south right now and see what happens.
Does the short side sometimes look like, to a returner, like, oh, I'm not going to get much there?
Again, I think you have to ask them, but it's really more of a just go now, that particular point. And he felt like he got something outside, but, usually going to use his judgment. But I think he saw it on tape. I think he'd like to fix that one.
Rich, you get to see a lot of the punters across the league when you're watching tape. Is Daniel, I know there's a lot of good ones, but is Daniel kind of closing the gap? Do you see him starting to become one of the top guys in the league at this point?
Yeah, I think he's certainly an ascending player, right? We talked about that earlier in the year, and now that he's a Packer for a while, and I think he's catching up to the elite players in the league. And the one thing I think that's been interesting for us having him is he plays really well in like December and later in the year, and he's played in some unbelievable wind conditions here in Lambeau. And what we played a week ago, what he did at Giant Stadium with the wind that was there last week. So he's certainly an ascending player. He works extremely hard at it, and I think he trusts the guys on the outside and trusts the protection. So I'd like to think he's going to get in the elite status, here pretty soon.